Plants deserve more than a chemical diet. Give them the natural power of nature's living soil, packed with organic amendments and living microbes that feed the soil and fuel growth from the roots up. Stronger plants, bigger yields, better results. Shop natureslivingsoil.com and use code WWPGEN10 to get 10% off today. Nature's Living Soil. Feed the soil. Watch life flourish.
Good day, and welcome to WWP Genetics. We're thrilled that you have joined us for another engaging and educational video. Today, I will be discussing the most important body system you were never taught about. Every day, from the moment you wake up until the moment you fall asleep, a hidden biological network inside your body is working nonstop. It regulates your mood, your appetite, your memory, your immune system, your sleep cycles, your stress response, and even how you experience pain. And it's one of the most important systems in human physiology. Yet, no one is taught about it in school. Most doctors never learn about it in medical schools, and most people have never even heard about it. This system is called the endocannabinoid system, or ECS. And once you understand how it works, you will never look at your body or cannabis the same way again. Today we're diving deep into the science, the history, the controversies, and the future of the ECS. We'll explore what researchers from Harvard, MDPI, and major medical institutions have discovered about this system, why it remained hidden for so long, and how it influences nearly every aspect of the human life. The endocannabinoid system was not discovered because scientists were searching for a new biological network. It was discovered because researchers were trying to understand how compounds from the cannabis plant affect the human body, and what they found changed modern physiology. In the 1960s, an Israeli chemist called Dr. Raphael Mechoulam successfully isolated and identified Delta 9 tetrahydrocannabinol, commonly known as THC. That discovery raised a critical question. How does THC work inside the body? In the late 1980s and early 1990s, researchers identified specific receptors in the brain that THC binds to. These receptors were named cannabinoid receptors, and shortly after, scientists discovered something even more surprising. The human body produces its own cannabinoid-like molecules that naturally bind to those receptors. These receptors weren't created for cannabis, they were created for chemicals our own bodies already produce, chemicals that resemble cannabinoids. Those internally produced molecules were called endocannabinoids, meaning cannabinoids made within the body. The discovery led to the identification of the first endocannabinoid, called anandamide, and this comes from the Sanskrit word ananda, meaning bliss. Researchers soon realized they had stumbled onto an entire biological communication network that had been operating silently inside humans and animals for millions of years. It had simply gone unnoticed because researchers simply weren't looking for it. According to the research published in journals such as Nature Reviews Neuroscience and the Journal of Clinical Investigation, the endocannabinoid system is a complex cell signaling network made up of three primary components. These components are cannabinoid receptors, endocannabinoids, and metabolic enzymes. The two most studied receptors are CB1 and CB2. CB1 receptors are concentrated primarily in the brain and the central nervous system, and they influence memory, emotional processing, motor coordination, appetite, and pain perception. And CB2 receptors are more common in immune cells and peripheral tissues, where they help regulate inflammation and immune activity. Dr. Vincenzo Di Marzo is a prominent endocannabinoid researcher, and he has described the ECS as a massive regulator of homeostasis. Homeostasis refers to the body's ability to maintain internal stability despite external change. In simpler terms, the ECS is constantly working to maintain body balance. When something in your body drifts out of balance, the ECS steps in to correct it. And here's what's good about that. It's not just a system that activates during emergencies, it activates every minute of your life. These receptors act like locks, and the keys that activate them are molecules your body produces naturally. Unlike hormones that circulate widely in the bloodstream, endocannabinoids are produced on demand. Endocannabinoids are created exactly when your body needs them, and this makes the ECS one of the most responsive systems in human biology. Researchers have found that stress, diet, exercise, and sleep all influence endocannabinoid levels. For example, the runner side. This was once attributed solely to endorphins, but is now understood to be largely driven by the endocannabinoid system. The endocannabinoid system does not control a single function, but instead it helps regulate multiple systems simultaneously. One reason the ECS is rarely discussed in early education is because it does not fit neatly into traditional categories. It overlaps with nervous system, the endocrine system, and the immune system. It interacts with neurotransmitters like dopamine and serotonin. It influences hormones such as cortisol. It affects immune signaling molecules called cytokines. Because it crosses multiple biological systems, it can be harder to simplify in textbooks. But that complexity is also what makes it powerful. And this is why researchers are studying the ECS as a potential target for new therapies. It is not because cannabis is trendy, it is because the ECS is deeply involved in the body's natural healing process. Despite its importance, the ECS is rarely taught in schools, and many medical students receive little or no education about it. This is partly because the ECS was discovered relatively recently, and partly because of decades of stigma surrounding cannabis. For years, research into cannabinoids was restricted or discouraged, and as a result, the ECS remained in the shadows. But as societal attitudes shift and scientific research expands, the ECS is finally receiving the attention it deserves. Harvard Health notes that the ECS is now at the center of renewed international research and drug development. Some researchers, including a Dr. Ethan Russo, have proposed a theory known as clinical endocannabinoid deficiency. And this hypothesis suggests that certain chronic conditions may involve underactive endocannabinoid signaling. Preliminary research has explored links between ECS dysfunction and migraines, fibromyalgia, irritable bowel syndrome, and chronic pain disorders. While this concept is still evolving and requires further large-scale trials, it highlights how central the ECS may be to overall wellness. The idea is not that the ECS explains everything, but that it plays a foundational role in maintaining equilibrium. Cannabis interacts with the ECS because its compounds resemble the endocannabinoids your body already produces. Clinical reviews emphasize that cannabis can produce both positive and negative effects, depending on dose, frequency, and individual biology. The important point is that cannabis does not create new paths, but that it interacts with the body and the pathways that already exist. Researchers continue to study how the endocannabinoid system influences neurodegenerative diseases, autoimmune disorders, metabolic conditions, and psychiatric health. Clinical trials are all going around the world. As research expands, medical education is slowly adapting, and the ECS is becoming recognized as not as a fringe topic, but as a core physiological system. The more we understand this system, the more we realize it has been quietly working behind the scenes all along. The endocannabinoid system is not a fringe topic, and it is not alternative medicine. It is a core part of human biology, a system your body uses every day to maintain balance, regulate emotion, manage pain, and keep you alive. The fact that most people have never heard of it is not a reflection of its importance, but it is a reflection of how recently we discovered it, and how much stigma once surrounded the plant that led us to it. Now that you know the truth, the question becomes, what else is your body doing that no one has ever taught you? We hope you found today's video educational. Don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, and share to stay updated on our latest content. For more exciting insights, be sure to check out our brother channel at WWP Logistics. See you in the next video.